Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to review Wednesday, Season 2, Episode 1, Here We Woe Again. Before we get started, I want to quickly talk about my new Patreon page. I have just launched my own Patreon called Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, just like this channel. And if you like my reviews, behind the scenes filmmaking, or just want to see how I make a Goosebumps fan series all on my own, 16 episodes, this is where you're going to be able to get all of that. Exclusive videos, commentaries, deleted scenes, even your name in the credits if you want to support at the bottom tier. And what happens is if you support the $5 tier, you're going to get your name in the Goosebumps show's credits. If you support the top tier, you're going to get your name in my movie's credits. It's like being part of the crew. Check it out. Links in the description. And now let's get back to talking about Wednesday. So I remember when Wednesday got really popular, Jenna Overrated Ortega, she seems to be in almost everything. And there was a period where she really was in everything. Like I was looking back at like the projects in this one year, and I was like, wow, she was in every single horror movie that I reviewed basically. And, Wednesday got popular really fast. And it seemed like all people really talked about was like the prospects of Enid and Wednesday hooking up, which is just, vomit to me. Because I hate that. I hate shipping. I hate that type of thing when it comes to shows. It's like the worst part of TV shows. I actually have a story about dealing with shippers. And I'm probably not going to tell the story. It's a very short story. And to me, it's really, really bad. But I'm not going to tell it today. I am going to mention, though, it just seemed like people really didn't give this show enough credit for the story and the characters. And how, Tim Burton, he used to be a really good filmmaker. He used to be. And now, it seems like all he cares about is creating a giant aesthetic art project. It seems like, he's just like, oh, well, isn't it cool that I have a claymation sequence? Isn't it cool that, I have these characters that are really quirky and, they're these like cosplay characters that don't even really have an actual character. They're just there to look good. Like it's like a giant Halloween party. That's what every modern Tim Burton project is like. It's like a giant Halloween party. Even in the Dark Shadows movie, in that movie, all the characters looked really good. The movie looked really good. But in terms of the script, in terms of the story, it was complete and utter bullshit. But Wednesday Season 1, I came onto the show late. I watched the show in December and November of 2023. So I had less of a wait than everyone else. I don't know why my voice is still doing that, by the way. Like, I'm going to be 27 this year at the end of the year. So I don't know why my voice is still doing that. I guess I just still have a long way to go or something. I don't know. Like, I wonder, when is it going to stop? I've been doing this channel for 10 years. And for 10 years, my voice has done that. Okay, that's embarrassing. But anyways, I actually really liked the Season 1. I thought that it was dark. It felt a little bit more adult than something like Beetlejuice 2. And it was a really, really pretty damn good show. I only disliked one episode in particular, and even then, it was still like a better episode than the one I just watched from Season 2. I did have a couple of problems with the characters. In particular, I hated Xavier. I hated his character. I was so glad when that fucking piece of shit character got taken out of season 2. I despise Xavier. Everything about him I hate. And I'm saying it because he's probably the worst character in any movie or TV show I've ever seen. And so I'm just so glad he's gone. So glad. And I'm glad he's probably not coming back. Thank God. But yeah, other than that, I really love the show. And I watched it twice, actually. I watched it once, and then I watched it again like a month later. Because it was simple. That's another thing. It was very simple, very straightforward. It didn't have a lot of stuff going on. It was just very much focused on like one or two main stories, and that was pretty much it. The only issue that I wanted to see for season 2 is I wanted to see more of the parents. I wanted to see more of that Addams family dynamic instead of just seeing Wednesday at the school. I know that the show is called Wednesday and it's all about her being at, the Nevermore Academy, but I wanted to see more of the family because I did not buy the family as a family. I just didn't at all. It just feels like a cosplay family and not really like a real family. So, Season 2, episodes 1 through 4 just came out today. I really don't like the release date that they chose for the show. Because them putting the first half of the season in August, the second half in September, it's a very strange choice. Because August is the month that you associate with going back to school. And I feel like it's less to do with like the themes of the show, and it's more to do with the fact that like they're trying to target this show towards kids more now. The show feels very kiddish. Season 2, it feels very, very kiddish at the start. So far, the first episode I just watched, and it really puzzles me why none of the episodes are going to be released in Halloween. I hate it, as I've said before in the last video that I just did about King of the Hill. I hate it when TV shows release all their episodes at once. And in this case, it's like they release half of the season and then half of the season next month. Very, very strange. Doesn't really do anything to help the bad experience of binge shows, which to me, there is nothing worse than modern TV shows. Like, modern TV shows have just ruined everything. Because, like, there's nothing worse than having to binge a show. And having to, especially as a reviewer, because it feels like, oh, well, if I wait to review, if I only watch one episode a week, I'm spending a whole month reviewing a show that everyone's already forgotten about after 1 week. So I hate it. I hate the experience. So I'm reviewing 2 episodes today, 2 episodes next week, and it's not a fun experience. And this first episode, it really took me by surprise because I was expecting to love it. Because Xavier is gone. So thank God Xavier is finally gone. We can finally, stop with the, oh, I'm a tortured artist and I'm poor Xavier. Fuck Xavier up the ass with Thing's hand. Thing can go up there and kill him on the inside like he should have done to Thanos. Anyways, his character, I hate that character. Even though he's gone, he's always going to be in season 1. And so every time I go back to rewatch season 1, which will probably be like once sometime in the future, I'm going to see that piece of shit character that I hate and despise with every fiber of my being. I hate Xavier like Wednesday hates advertising. Like, that's how much I hate Xavier. And so, just so you guys know, we're establishing my values, my beliefs as a person and as a reviewer and as a man and as Marco from Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies. But anyways, this season I started the first episode and immediately something felt very, very off. And to me, the show feels like a fast food commercial. That's the overall vibe that I got from episode 1. It feels very shallow. It feels very childish. And it doesn't feel anything like season 1. It is the polar opposite of King of the Hill season 14. That show felt like, okay, we're continuing from where we left off. This season feels like, okay, we're making Wednesday, and now we're catering to the TikTok audience. We're gonna, have all these jokes, these stupid little jokes. Like, there's this one really, really cringeworthy part where Wednesday deals with the TSA, and just, ugh, God. It just, right off the bat, the show got off to a very cringe start, and it continues on through the rest of the episode. It doesn't get very much better, and the whole thing felt off. And it was such a bad vibe. Like, I was really, really looking forward to this, and I didn't really have any, hesitation about the season. I didn't think that it would be bad. I didn't think that they would change the show. But it felt like a completely different show, and it felt like just like a giant fast food commercial. And they did do a Burger King meal for Wednesday, or no, a Wendy's meal. And I will be reviewing that, but that's what the show feels like. It feels like a commercial. It feels like a series of TikTok clips. It does not really feel like an actual show. The first episode, my overall review, before I get into specifics, and I don't want to sound like I'm hating either. I know that I'm going to be very negative this video, but I want you guys to know that, I'm fully willing to give the rest of the season a chance, because I'm a reviewer, and, I'm not going to act like the whole season's going to be bad just because this episode was terrible. This episode was really, really bad. But, yeah. It feels like the quirkiness... So this is my overall review. The quirkiness factor has been upped to 1,000%. It feels like the whole center of the show is making jokes about Wednesday. And making jokes about characters and about, oh, isn't it funny when Wednesday did this? Isn't it funny how, there's just so many stupid jokes, and the stakes feel so, so small. Even at the end of the episode, they introduce this major storyline, but the storyline is undercut right before it by another character having a certain ability. So it doesn't really feel like it's going to be an interesting story. It just feels very, very stupid and lame. And that's me being nice about it. The first episode, it felt very overstuffed. Sometimes in my videos, I can be a little bit overwhelming. I can be a little bit overwhelming with just... That's kind of how I work those, that I absorb stuff. I absorb information, I absorb characters, I absorb vibes, and so it all just kind of unloads. And sometimes I can be a little bit overwhelming, especially when I'm filming a long video, for an hour. It's a lot of stuff. And that's what this episode felt like. It felt like a lot of stuff. It felt like way, way, way too much stuff. It felt like the perfect episode of a bad season premiere. Because they're supposed to make you feel like, hey, this is what happened. in between seasons, and this is, the reintroduction, and this is what the season's going to kind of be about, and, it's supposed to feel like a hug. It's supposed to feel like, Jenna Overrated Ortega is opening her arms and hugging you, and just, giving you a nice warm hug. But this premiere felt like a slap in the face. It felt like a slap in the face because, number one, the characters, they are, let's just say, nothing like how they were in season 1. Eugene, he looks like a Hispanic Howard Stern, which shout out to Howard Stern getting his shitty show canceled finally. And then, well, it became shitty. It didn't used to be shitty, but now it is, and I'm glad he's getting canceled. Number 2, what was that guy, the guy with the beanie? I don't even know his name, but I hated his character, and he looks like Jason Biggs now. He looks completely different, and to me, there's a very jarring difference between seasons 1 and 2. It feels like they were really trying to hide the time distance. They were trying to hide that, hey, this is, like a million years later, and we should have shot this show the very next year. And so it feels like so much time has passed, and they're kind of ignoring that, and they're ignoring that these people look extremely, extremely different. It reminds me of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, of Dog Days, the movie Dog Days, which in that movie, the characters, they looked completely, completely different. It looked like they all hit a growth spurt, and it felt very, very awkward, even though the characters, the actors were still on point. And so that was a big issue for me. But my main issue is that this felt like Beetlejuice 2. Beetlejuice 2 had all the same problems that this episode had. Beetlejuice was overstuffed. It had way too many storylines. The characters were bad. And it just felt like aesthetic over substance and a lot of stupid, dumb comedy. That being said, there were a couple of things that I liked, but they were few and far between. So my non-spoiler review, which I know that this video is going to be looked at as like I'm hating on the show, even though I loved season 1, my review for this episode is a D-. I did not like this episode. I felt like it was a terrible season premiere, and I felt like it was just more of what we got in Beetlejuice 2, and Beetlejuice 2 was terrible. So now in terms of spoilers, God, people are going to hate me for this video. Let's see. First off, let's just talk about... Okay, let's talk about the things that I liked. Okay, number 1, Xavier is gone. Okay, we've talked about that a couple of times in this video. Number 2, I really like the idea and the story of Pugsley attending the academy. I really like his character so far. He's actually, at this point, more of an outcast than Wednesday. And I think that's kind of on purpose. Like Wednesday, she's really popular now because she saved the school, even though she doesn't want to be popular. And so I have a feeling, just like at the end of this episode where she burns this big painting that looked like the Star Wars poster, but with her and all the other kids that saved the school. I think that this whole season is going to be about her becoming an outcast again. I think it's going to get very dark, hopefully, and I think it's going to be about like her returning to how she was in season 1, rather than embracing that popularity, because Pugsley, he is currently where Wednesday was in season 1, where he is very much an outcast. He is such an outcast that even Eugene is not really his friend. And Eugene is his roommate, and he did it as a favor to Wednesday. And I really don't like Eugene so far this season. He has turned out to be kind of a douchebag. So Pugsley is actually the character that I'm most looking forward to this season, which I never thought that I would say. So I guess you could say like that part I really like. I really like that. I think that was a great idea. So I also kind of liked Enid. Enid's character, she does something this episode really nice, and she sees that the thing, he is depressed, he's sad because Wednesday yells at him all the time, and so she makes him his own place. It's like a little model, and it's like his own little house or little room. I thought that was really sweet. And, Enid, she's a really nice character. Even though you can tell she's aged quite a bit in between seasons, she still looks good. She still looks pretty. I'm not trying to say she looks bad or anything. It's just that, you can tell that she's a little older compared to season 1. But her character is really, really cool. I still don't like the relationship stuff with her character, though. Like, I really, really don't care about the guy with the beanie, or about... They give her another jock boyfriend now. She's going to have another jock boyfriend. She's never going to be with Eugene. That's terrible, because that was definitely where things were leading in season 1, before they ruined it, the writers. So, let's see. They have a flashback, or not really a flashback, but the beanie guy tells a story in the episode about this guy who was basically like a Dr. Frankenstein student at the school, and it ends with him being buried at the skull tree because he died doing one of his experiments. And this whole sequence was really cool because it was in claymation. So I thought that was really creative. I really enjoyed that. Let's see. And then finally, the last thing that I liked. It's kind of a double-edged sword because I like something about it and I dislike something about it. Pugsley brings back this student. He brings him back to life, and so he's now like a zombie. And Pugsley has powers to reanimate the dead because he shoots electricity. So why would we care about any character living or dying if Pugsley can just bring them back to life? In fact, why can't Pugsley just go and bring all the characters from season 1 back to life? Like, seriously, like, if he has the power to reanimate the dead, then why would we care about Enid getting killed? So I think that's a big flaw, and it's a very jarring flaw unless they explain that, like, it doesn't work how you want it to work or something. Because the zombie, so far, he can't talk. So maybe he doesn't have the kid's soul or something. I don't know yet. I don't know. We still need to see what happens with that character. So now for the things that I didn't like. So a general rule of thumb for TV show episodes is that they all have to have like a conflict per each episode for the most part. If they're not a setup episode, then they need to have some little conflict that the characters solve before they get to the next episode and deal with the bigger conflict. The conflict of this episode, the first episode of Wednesday Season 2, is that Wednesday has to save her book. Remember the book she was writing in Season 1? Well, she has a manuscript, the only copy of her manuscript, which I thought was stupid. Even Enid points out, like, copy machines aren't even 21st century, technology. Like, people copied stuff all the way back in the 1800s. So I thought it was really queer that Wednesday didn't have a second copy of her book. Totally felt out of character. And, but yeah, the whole conflict of this episode is that she has a stalker, and he's a mysterious, evil character with a hood or a cloak, a red cloak, and, and he puts her manuscript inside this pyre, which is like a wooden statue that they burn for like a opening school festival celebration thing. And Wednesday has to save her manuscript. That is the conflict of the first episode. So as I said before, that's why it feels like this show has pivoted towards gearing it towards children. Because the fact that the conflict of the first episode was her saving her manuscript, it was like, really? Really? Okay, so next up is the quirkiness. So they're doing something that's really, really odd. They're using her fame for saving the school is like a meta commentary about how the show got really popular. And I thought that that was a really weird choice. You know, I don't like meta stuff a lot. I don't like fourth wall breaks a lot unless there's like a character who really, really needs to do that. Even then, I'm getting a little sick and tired of characters who do fourth wall breaks. I'm getting tired of meta stories, meta commentary, because it just kind of feels cringe. You know, I mean, it feels like okay, like I see what you're doing, like wink, wink, nod, nod. And that was this whole episode. It was like a series of wink, wink, nod, nod. And, you know, the whole meta thing with her being popular now, I really don't like that at all. Okay. Number two, or I guess the next thing that I didn't like is the dialogue feels like it was written by ChatGPT. You know, the dialogue, a lot of it is very, very awkward and cutesy and, you know, kind of unnatural. You know, like I've used ChatGPT for making schedules, for kind of venting about, you know, problems that I've had with making films and, you know, kind of asking for advice, but I never, ever let ChatGPT write, like, dialogue for me to put in a show or a movie. And to be honest, the dialogue in the show, it doesn't even really feel like a human being wrote it, because a lot of it feels very much like, okay, ChatGPT, write season 2 of Wednesday for me. And then it's like, okay, here is your season. Wednesday says, ha 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 ha, I am the chaos. Enid says, hey sis, are we gonna go to a party? Wednesday says, no, I am not going to go to a party. I am just going to sit in my room and play the cello for the millionth time. And I am going to do a bunch of other things that people will like because it's all a bunch of shallow, basic bitch fan service. Ha 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 ha. Chaos. Okay? That's what the show was like. That's what this was like. Oh yeah. Remember how season 1 had a quirky, redheaded Christina Ricci? She was the villain of the season. Well, her character has now been replaced with another quirky, redheaded teacher, and she kind of looks a little bit like Christina Ricci. And so I wonder who the villain of the season is going to be this time. It might not be her, but to me, it's very, very bizarre why they have, like, a character who's basically like her. And that's what I was saying about, like, these characters are, like, aesthetic characters. It's like you could have any actor play these characters, and as long as you dress them up in their Halloween costumes, they can be that character. And that's what the show is starting to feel like now in season 2. Okay, I'm going to take a quick drink. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is Steve Buscemi. He is playing the new principal, and his character is pretty damn unlikable. But I want to talk about the thing that he did at the end of the episode. He announced that all the secret societies, like the Nightshades, all of them are going to be abolished. I thought that that was the stupidest thing ever because you can't abolish secret societies. Like, that is so anti, like, secret society. It's anti-rebel. It's anti-outcast. Like, how are you going to say, like, okay, kids, like, you are not allowed to have secret societies anymore? Because that's the whole point, is that they're secretive. And so you guys really think that, like, the Nightshades are going to break up, like, unofficially? Like, they might break up officially because it's against the rules, but I have a feeling that's going to be a big part of the story of this season because, like, yeah, like, it's like, okay, the Illuminati is going to break up. See, guys? We told the Illuminati to break up, and so they broke up. And then, they're still together. That's why secret societies are secret societies. They're not, like, it's just so stupid. But anyways, I really did not like this episode, and it's a shame because I really wanted to like it. I wanted to love the show again. But so far, this season's really bad. It's really, really bad. And I feel bad for Jenna overrated Ortega, too, because her big thing was Wednesday. Her big, thing was this show. She's been in a lot of movies. None of them have been any good, especially the one that came out this year, or both of them. I haven't really finished the other one yet because it's so bad. But her career is really going downhill, and I feel terrible because I really like her from the interviews that I've seen. And so it makes me feel bad that I have to trash this season because it's just bad. And I can't just sit there and say, like, oh yeah, it's really, really good. I can't wait for the next episode. And I love the show. I can't do that because it's being dishonest. So yeah, it's a big shame. So please like this video and comment and tell me what you think of Wednesday Season 2, Episode 1. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest Wednesday reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.